Hey, hello, howdy, how you doing? Welcome to the supercut of my Project Zomboid Hardcore Ironman series. This video features a group of 8 YouTubers working together to survive one of the hardest dedicated servers in the PZ community. We'll start from nothing and work our way deep into Louisville, where we'll establish a base, make several looting runs, and build up our defenses, all over the course of about 1 month in-game. All of our hard work comes together in a grand finale where we defend our base from endless waves of zombies until there's only one survivor. A very special thank you to the creators who were willing to work with me on such short notice. I have links to all of their channels down in the description, so go check them out and show them some love. Alright, let's get into it. We chose West Point as our spawn location since we figured most players would spawn Rosewood, leaving us one of the larger cities to ransack on wipe day. I went with a high strength, high fitness build along with burglar occupation, giving me the ability to hotwire cars on day 1. I also put an emphasis on short blade weaponry since I figured most players would run with blunt weapons, giving me a larger pool to work with. Since I went with Deprived, I spawned in naked, so I set out in search of clothing, and after quickly looting the starter home. Getting started would be the most difficult portion of the event. For reference, the starting zombie pop is about 2.5 times higher than a normal game, with an additional 1.5 times peak multiplier. Throw in the fact that I have no shoes, and I'm effectively one cut away from becoming a day 1 statistic. Luckily, I was able to circle back to a corpse and loot some clothing along with a cowboy hat to get me started. With the basics covered, I began making my way to Twiggy's, which was our designated meeting location. Along the way, I ran into Little Flame.
Hey, that's me.
Together, we were able to kite zombies through the school and hotwire our first car. It was during this endeavor that the server managed to claim its first victims. With a working vehicle, the two of us continued our journey across West Point. While driving, we came across a red Jeep sitting outside of a house, so I hopped out and scooped that as well, giving us 2 vehicles before sunrise. Luckily, it already had a key in the ignition, so I just had to press W and we were good to go. Flame was a little ahead of me, so by the time we got to Twiggy's, he was already in the middle of being potentially overrun. Willing to risk the Jeep, I slammed into a few zombies before hopping out and using my chef knife to help secure the area. Funny enough, Coco was also in the vicinity and came to lend a helping hand. I tried to keep the zombies away from the others since Flame was out of weapons, so he could really only push zombies around. When there's multiple players in the same area, you really want to space out and stay in a designated area to lower the risk of accidentally kiting zombies into another player, so we did just that. While in the process of clearing Twiggy's, another player named Samuel showed up to help out as well. He was actually in the process of looting the gun store right to the north of Twiggy's and came over when he heard us struggling. Together, our small band of misfits was able to secure Twiggy's by 5:20 that morning. About 30 minutes after that, some dude who fights sprinters on the rooftops of Louisville showed up in Ted Bundy's van, and approximately 30 minutes after that, a wild hazard appeared, bringing all of his fanboys that had to be dealt with. With about half of our group here and Twiggy's once again secured, we set out to loot the gun store, which Sam had broken into by yeeting a Molotov at it and climbing in through the side. As a group, we decided to focus on the most common weapons and ammo, such as 9mm rounds and 12 gauge shells, since shotguns and pistols are the most prevalent weapons we'll be able to find and use. Also allows us to leave some extra loot for the other players on the server without just keeping everything for ourselves. Comp came wandering in from the trees at around 8 AM, and with that, we just needed to find Newbert and Ghost. While waiting for them to find their way to us, the group decided to head out to West Point's main street and see if we could find anything useful at the hardware stores. If you don't know, there's the main hardware store that's on the corner of a 4-way intersection, but there's also a hidden hardware store not listed on the official PZ map in between the post office and food market. The big issue we ran into right away was the team of misfit YouTubers made one fatal mistake. They left me in charge of directions. After making a wrong turn in the back entrances of some shops 1 block away from the actual hardware store, we were ambushed by a few dozen zombies. Equipped with items like screwdrivers, 1 knife, and a baseball bat, we fought for our lives with the hopes of finding an additional weapon on any of the zombie corpses we slaughtered. While the group cleaned up the remaining zombies, I set to work hotwiring the nearby cars since they were all in much better condition than what we were currently driving. cars hot-wired and ready for use, I ran back to the fence line to help Comp and Rick take out the remaining zombies. After finally deciding to stop and ask for directions, we reached the location of the hidden hardware store only to find it ransacked. Whoever beat us here left a few gems that we could use though. Items such as a ball-ping hammer, a lug wrench, and a propane torch were all incredibly useful to us, so I threw them in my backpack before heading upstairs to loot the apartment.
I do have a propane torch now.
I was able to find a needle that we could use for tailoring and stitching, along with a ton of dried foods that we can use to tackle the fact that we all went underweight as a starting trait. In the bedroom, I found a ton of guns, but only a Mossberg and Remington were worth taking, as we didn't have any ammo for the M14, and the other shotgun was in terrible condition. With some new weapons available to our group, Hazard and I took out the zombies outside, while the rest of the team went into the nearby shops to loot what they could get their hands on. After throwing our loot in the back of the vehicles, we all settled down to watch some cartoons together.
Oh, no, it was me.
After wrapping up our Teen Titans marathon, we walked outside to see a spooky ghost waiting by the cars for us.
Who took my key?
Since we still had one more goofy goober to link up with, we began making our way downtown, Vanessa Carlton style, towards the warehouses on the southern end of West Point to see what we could find. The answer? A ton of zombies. And a bus. Oh, a bus. Hold on. You son of a... After finding an initial spot to park, we broke out into groups. One group would head into the warehouses and self-storage units to see what they could loot. Another group would work with the zombies, moving as many out of the way as possible and killing the rest, leaving the final group to loot the gas station and fill up the empty gas cans. I went with the runners, pulling a few hundred zombies and leading them into the tree line to the south of the warehouses and gas station. It seemed like a good idea in the moment, but in reality, it only made a small dent in the overall zombie count in the area. Fortunately, while I was leading one group into the woods, the rest of the team was busy clearing the area around the bus, allowing me to head back towards it since I was the only one in the group with the ability to hotwire. Initially, the zombies were tolerable, but that quickly escalated, forcing me to round up another group and lead them to the trees behind the bus. This one didn't work too well though, and most of the zombies ended up just pathing through the trees directly back to me in an effort that'd make the Viet Cong jealous.
Probably close to like 50 or 60.
Luckily, Comp and Little Flame had circled back just as my meat cleaver broke, and Comp sacrificed his baseball bat for the cause before heading back to the warehouse to continue looting. Similar to the school about 12 hours ago, Flame began kiting the zombies around while I focused on hot wiring. With the bus secured, we all split up with plans to meet at the gas station towards the center of West Point. This was a much safer location where we could catch our breath, take stock on our weapons, and fuel up our vehicles all in safety. There was just one problem. We'd forgotten the green car with a trunk full of guns, ammo, and food just sitting back near the warehouse. We figured it'd be safer to head back with a small team, so Flame and I stole a car from earlier and set out to retrieve the gear.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I saw you get in, so I'm just...
Alright,
join up then.
here, if you want to drive around,
Alright.
just kind of maneuver through this, maybe? There we go, as long as this starts up.
So we're waiting at the gas station.
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Did you make it?
Yeah, I turned it on, but I couldn't back out, so I just jumped out. A lot of zombies. Didn't get... Okay, at least the car's running, so I should be good.
You got it?
Yep.
Alright, I'm coming back then.
With all our loot accounted for, we took care of our moodles and geared up as best we could given the circumstances. I mean, like, waiting to get into Louisville.
Oh, you mean that? I
morning.
mean, we can go
Like
towards Louis and then stop, like, in the middle.
Stop.
do
I mean, we can
something else overnight.
I was
How
gonna say
about we hit at the shooting range?
yeah, we can do that.
The rundown of the plan.
Okay, so we are at the gas station right now. We're moving gear over from the green car, and then we're gonna head out and start making our way to Louisville.
Am I?
Oh, I don't know. Are you?
I can.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw a bunch of like guns and ammo in there then. It was around this time that a wild ginger came over to graze on the nearby grassy plains. We accepted him into our small tribe of wandering idiots and set off for Louisville. It was already around 7 o'clock at this point, so we didn't plan on truly heading into the city until sunrise the following day. But we figured it wouldn't be a terrible plan to begin making our way there and stopping wherever we felt safe when the sun finally set. Everything seemed to be going according to plan. We had a few working vehicles, no one had died yet, and we even had a developing hierarchy of Blue Hard Hat members. While stopping to loot the bridge, I made the mistake of smashing a window without holding a weapon, giving myself a deep wound and forcing the doctor to come to my aid.
Thought I had a weapon equipped.
Did you open?
Oh no!
Did you break the thing?
Does anyone have a needle and some thread?
I do. Come to me. Come to doctor. The doctor
Please.
is in. Get over here.
Oh, I gotta take
Why
the
are you
glass
running
out.
on the spot?
Where are you? Oh,
Come
no.
over here.
Oh, Coco.
Oh, it's the right forearm too. Turns out he's not even a real doctor, he's just some dude who found a pack of crayons and wrote "I am a doctor" on a piece of paper, and we all just kind of believed him. The whole time Coco was tending to me, the group voiced their displeasure with the bus's condition, but I knew they were really just super jealous of my sweet driving skills. Oh, the bus? The bus, I crashed into a tree
Don't even worry
because
about it.
to prove my worth, I abandoned the damaged bus and headed back into West Point with Newbert to find another. This actually wasn't all that difficult, and we managed to find another one sitting in the Spiffos parking lot. While we did this, another group hit up the mechanic shop right outside of the east entrance to West Point, and Ghost contributed by finding Nemo with a spear. I made it back to the group at around 10 o'clock with the Magic School Bus in perfect condition. It even came equipped with an M19 and some cigarettes in the glove box, which I didn't even know buses had, but hey, you learn something new every day. While hanging out, we found a pretty glaring bug within PZ multiplayer, where seemingly for no reason, players will just disappear for random members. In this case, Flame is standing next to me, but he doesn't appear until he gets back into a car and re-exits.
I am. I'm right in front of you.
You're invisible for me then.
Oh, let me get into my car and get out.
Did you give me a
Gotta
cheese
love
sandwich?
Zomboid multiplayer.
Can you see me now?
Yep, there we go. Okay, perfect. Okay. Anyway, now that the group was all together, we hopped into our cars and began making our way down the highway towards Louisville. Very proud of us that we're all still alive.
Why'd you say that?
We survived a whole day. There's a bus station a small distance outside of the military checkpoint, so we chose to stop there until morning. We arrived just before midnight and got to work clearing the area. I was going back through my notes while cutting all the footage down, and the note quite literally just says, "Hazard Among Us," which led to this gem.
Look, I'm an Among Us character.
Oh god. Fast forward to the morning, and we found ourselves cruising along the highway towards certain death. Our
Oh damn, son.
Oh, it's cooking.
The checkpoint wasn't nearly as bad as we expected it to be, likely because players had beaten us to it. This is a blessing and a curse. See, I don't think it would have been possible for us to make it through this section unscathed if we were the first to arrive, but that also means we get the leftover loot that wasn't worth taking, at least by another player's standards. We weren't able to find any guns, or even a lot of ammo, but we did manage to come away with a full set of ponchos for every player in our group, along with some N16 mags and some military backpacks, which were much needed considering up until this point, I was still rocking a school backpack with less than half the storage space. Oh, and Rick found a ghillie suit, so that was cool. With most of the checkpoint looted, we began pushing into Louisville. I wasn't a big fan of the bus though, so I gifted it to Comp and decided to continue on a motorcycle I found. Surely he would take fantastic care of it. Be better than me.
Look at this.
Okay.
Oh god!
What was that?
Just happened.
Since we still needed guns and ammo, we targeted a gun store in the southeast of Louisville since it was likely that anyone who had beaten us here already would target the larger POIs first, leaving the small shops relatively unlooted. The only hiccup at this point was the fact that Comp kept DC'ing while driving, so I had to go back and pull off the rescue attempt of a lifetime. Mainly because the game had bugged out again and Comp decided to impersonate John Cena, so I couldn't even see him. I could only see the zombies shambling along behind where he was. The gun store is in the middle of a series of shops right outside of a neighborhood, so we expected the place to be swarming with zombies, but in actuality, the place was pretty calm. We needed a sledge to get into this hunting supply, so I moved up the street to find a hardware store in hopes of finding the sledgehammer. The store itself was unlooted, but didn't have anything of value outside of a couple packs of cabbage seeds, some nails, and a hammer. Without a sledge, we only had one other method of breaking into the hunting supply. See, with fire spread off, you can effectively yeet Molotovs at the walls. They'll burn down one piece, but won't spread to the surrounding buildings or other walls. The only downside is you risk destroying whatever's on the other side of the wall you hit. This was a painstaking process that took multiple attempts to pull off. Eventually, Flame was able to blow a hole in the western wall, giving us access into the building.
So, we would like your seat.
Oh no, I can't get in. Oh, there you go, you got shit.
There we go.
I'm in. Wait, can we get out?
The funny part with this is that we're stuck. Almost all of us were stuck inside the hunting supply, unable to hop back through due to the metal weapons locker blocking the path. We can't pick it up, and we need carpentry level 3 to move the locker. Completely at Hazard's mercy, we began looting the entire store in hopes that he could power level his way into freeing us. After being freed from the hunting supply store, we set our sights on a nearby fire station with the hopes of gathering some axes, which we need to farm logs and planks with. At this point, a couple zombies had begun making their way over to us, so I focused on them to clear the road for the rest of the group. While the group looted the fire station, I stayed outside to defend the area and took the time to level my combat skills a little bit. Something that we desperately need for the finale. After wrapping up there, Rick hopped on the back of my bike and we moved north towards the second fire station, which coincidentally was the primary base of operations for the Liberating Louisville series. I had a ton of fun with the motorcycles this playthrough, and honestly, I think I may prefer them to normal cars going forward. As long as you keep your speed below 50 miles an hour, you're very smooth and easy to turn. Anything above 50 though, and you begin to lose control of the bike. We chose to go ahead of the group and serve as more of the scout team, dealing with the majority of the zombies so that the rest of the group could roll up and begin looting the place. With the rest of the group catching up to us, I changed focus to help loot the place so that we could establish a base before the sunset.
Alright, I can head out. I did find another axe, by the way.
Brett, where's that crowbar?
Oh, I got a sledgehammer. It's in the garage, the first rack on the right-hand side.
Ooh, sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer, 2 axes so far. I'm in like one of the storage rooms. A lot of tire pumps. Alright, I'm coming out.
Oh, crowbar, baby. Let's go.
Let me drop stuff out here.
2 windows. Okay.
Axes. Oh, they're not gonna fit in the trailer.
No.
Fit the bed of the
it's
truck. I'm gonna throw the sledge in the truck.
In hindsight, I definitely should have moved the bike out of the way, because just as I was walking over to get back on it,
Brett's.
luckily it was still in driving condition despite being stone cold sundered through the concrete.
My bike.
All in all, we left both fire stations with around 10 axes and a ton of firefighter clothing.
There's a bunch around here.
With nothing left to do for the day, we began making our way to what would be our final home for the duration of this playthrough. Along the way, I did my best to reenact tricks from MX vs. ATV Unleashed.
Behind me, I'm like scared. Is he gonna go for it or not?
Dude, there's not even a person on that motorcycle. Just Ghost Rider behind us.
Oh, jeez.
Sick! Kickflip, dude. Wow. Whoa.
Turning this into MX vs. ATV. We made it to our base destination later that evening, far enough away from the city that the finale wouldn't impact the other players in the server, but close enough that we could make looting runs into town. Fort Knox would be our Helm's Deep, a base that came equipped with some pretty solid defenses, but a large enough opening for us to shape it however we felt the need to.
Oh, here we go.
They should have heard that, right?
I mean, there's basically no zombies in here.
Dude, you killed the clown, bro.
Roof is clear.
Clown?
Clown had it coming.
Clown where? I want that fit.
With the fort secured, we settled down for a midnight feast of painkillers and bourbon. I have 213 kills so far, which, funny enough, is one of the highest in the group at this point. Skill-wise, it's about what I expected, with 3 levels in short blade, 1 in maintenance, and then 2s in all agility stats aside from sprinting, though it's getting there.
It's about survival.
Next morning, I broke my leg before I started recording. At this point, it's gonna be a few days before this thing heals, so I considered just farming my first aid by impersonating John McClane and walking on glass. The only holdup is that we're missing First Aid Volume 2, so I hopped on my bike and set out for the mall. Luckily, most of it had already been cleared by Rick and Hazard, so there shouldn't be too many zombies hanging around. I actually streamed a lot of this with a group, so if you want to watch that, it's up in the top right corner of your screen right now. Anyway, back to the adventure. Like I said, a lot of this has been pushed by some other members of the group, which gave me easy access to the mall library right inside the entrance. Not only did I find Volume 2, but I also grabbed a ton of books and skill magazines that we need for the future. With nothing but time on my side, I made my way back to base and removed my shoes and socks before placing some broken glass on the floor and proceeding to power level first aid. At around 8 o'clock, Newbert's mod Aragon picked me up and took me back into town to loot the mall some more. We needed food and general supplies, and I was one of the only members at the base at the time. And for once, it wasn't me who crashed a vehicle.
Ow! 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 Ow!
With my bike totaled, we proceeded on foot, reaching the mall parking lot about an hour later, where we found Newbert and Rick's power leveling mechanics. Now that we had strength in numbers, I felt comfortable heading out on a small looting run with them in search of weapons and VHS tapes. We checked out the baseball bat factory first, which ended up almost killing the four of us. After crashing the bike again, we hopped out with the intention of just gunning down anything in the area, but got swarmed before I could fire more than one shell. Aragon slowed the zombies while I power hobbled my way down the street before Rix came to the rescue, dropping me off in a safer location to hide in while he went back for the others. We had a brief moment of peace before a house alarm triggered, pulling in dozens of zombies while I immersed myself in peak 90s fashion. Truth be told, Rick 100% carried me here. I was a liability to the fullest extent with a broken leg and 2 stitched feet, making it near impossible for me to walk. It wasn't all bad though. I learned that Rick has superpowers and could kill zombies even without touching them. Some say it's desync, but I know the truth, and now you do too. It was around this time that Aragon managed to make one massive mistake. He underestimated the power of the PZ gods.
How many zombies are there?
There's like 4.
Hazard had shown up at this point as well, so normally this wouldn't be too big of an issue, but you see, Hazard broke his leg way before I did, back at the end of episode 1, so 2 of the 5 in our group were essentially immobilized, forcing us to retreat back to the mall. Newbert came up with this genius idea to head back on foot while I handled the police cruiser to go pick up Hazard, since he had both working legs and I was a literal cripple. With all of us safely back at base, I figured it was a good idea to just sit here until my injuries healed, or at least until the entire group was ready to move. It wasn't the end of the world though, there was no shortage of things to do around the base, so I got to work planting a garden. This took a considerable amount of time as the well is outside the base, so I had to hobble back and forth with buckets and water bottles to water the entire garden. Later that evening, we got wind of another group looting the mall, so Newbert, Flame, and I hopped in a car to take a trip down and loot whatever we could get our hands on before there was nothing left, which led to the following incident.
My
Fucking hell, what are you guys doing?
my foot is fractured.
Oh,
My foot is fractured. Take me home.
it's like you guys freaking manifested we were gonna die. We get T-boned at light speed by the only
My
car
God.
in like 20 miles.
With Flame's foot splinted, we set back out for the mall. The grocery store section was completely untouched, giving us a few days worth of food given the group's size. I also hit up the gardening store to grab some more seeds and watering cans, which would be incredibly useful later on. Outside of that though, the mall was all scraps. Almost every store had been completely destroyed, leaving us only a couple items spread amongst the corpses. With only some food and gardening supplies, we headed back to base, arriving early the following morning. Nothing too crazy happened throughout the night. I rewatered the garden, which was a little faster this time since I had watering cans, but outside of that, we all just kinda hung out and waited for sunrise. Feeling overconfident and having learned nothing from yesterday's fiasco, we gave it another shot with less people. Newbert, Flame, and I set out the next morning with the hopes of reaching it before anyone else in Louisville got their hands on the weapons. Looking back, I think we were a little paranoid that if players had already looted the mall, it was only a matter of time before they targeted the warehouse, if they hadn't even looted it already. Flame and I went in while Newbert acted as our getaway driver, kiting the zombies around outside to prevent us from getting swarmed. This worked for a few minutes, but after the car stalled, Flame and I were forced to retreat into the warehouse section of the factory, leaving Newbert outside to fend for himself while we grabbed whatever we could carry without encumbering ourselves.
Oh no.
Let's go rescue a friend.
I took a decent part of the horde on me, so you should be alright.
I do have a shotgun if needed.
I do myself.
That's so unfair. That's so unfair. That's so unfair. That's so unfair. The headphones
shit,
were
Flame.
working.
I'm
How
alright.
am I gonna be
No,
screwed by
that's the only
technical
exit.
failures of equipment beyond my control?
That's the only exit out there?
Well, we have to loop around. Here, come this way. We can lose them back here.
Alright. Yeah. Oh no, I'm on high exertion now.
Did you grab quick rest?
Yes, I did.
There's
so...
there's chairs
oh,
back here.
excessive.
There's chairs. Go. There's chairs.
Like, I can always still shoot, so it's alright.
Well, we still gotta make it back.
Yeah. Like, I shot earlier, so it's fine if you shoot inside.
We managed to grab 18 baseball bats, which should be more than enough for the group, before getting the car started and heading back to base. Also, Newbert has no idea who the Llama King Carl Weezer is, so head on over to his channel and bully this man for his unspeakable sin against mankind.
You don't know who Carl
Chat, does
Weezer
it
is?
sound like Carl Weezer? What?
Oh my god.
Who the
Chat.
fuck sounds like Carl Weeder now?
Did you hear what this man just
Weezer.
said? I don't know who Carl
what?
Weezer is. Over the next 10 in-game days or so, the group went on a few raids and cleaned up the base some. I had hopped off to do some life stuff with the family and just hung out around the base waiting to heal from my injuries. I expanded the garden as a means to keep busy while I healed up, which is another way of me saying I finally healed from my broken leg and managed to get first aid level 7 in the process. All of that in anticipation of the big raid we were about to pull off. You see, there are several zombie cures spread throughout Knox County, with a couple of them located in the St. Peregrine Hospital. At this point, Newbert and Aragon had been bit, so it became a necessity to reach the hospital before anyone else had a chance to loot it. Now, it wouldn't be as simple as just walking in the front door. No. If you've seen any of the community events my staff has run in the past, you know that they like to go above and beyond for the added difficulty, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. The cures were located at the top of the hospital, but there was a distinct path to follow. All the windows on the ground floor had been welded shut, along with some of the staircases having been removed, forcing us on a single maze-like path to find our way up the building. The zombies were layered along with the building so that each floor contained a larger amount of zombies, slowing our progress immensely and also allowing zombies to work their way over to us from the ground floors due to the sounds of gunfire. Along the way, we noticed that there were green arrows pointing us in the direction of the next staircase, so at least we had a general sense of direction.
Alright, well, what's up? Dude, those zombies are lagging really hard.
I know.
This game. Is the server joinable? Yeah, the whitelist is still open.
Someone just get bit.
No, that's just general desync.
Yeah, I heard you get crunch new, but it's not real. Don't worry. Your imagination.
Unless you hear somebody groaning with exasperation.
If you're someone complaining, then no one's there.
Now we're pointing at the stairwell. Alright, guys.
The biggest issue we ran into on the second floor was just the sheer amount of desync. With the amount of players in such a small area, coupled with a few thousand zombies scattered through the cell, really does a number on the server. On top of that, multiple players hitting the same zombie risk completely bricking a multiplayer server because game dev, am I right? To counter this, we tried to stagger our shotgun blasts so that we didn't have an instance where 3 or 4 of us were shooting the same zombie at the exact same time.
Missed my turn.
Now we should.
Oh my god, this thing does no damage. As we made our way deeper into the hospital, we found that whole sections of the hallway were blocked by metal fencing, forcing us to go down a pre-designated path directly into larger groups of zombies. On top of that, there were also these small doorways with zombies packed in like sardines waiting to ambush us. Once we reached the 3rd floor, we set up a sheet rope ladder for us to escape with, provided that no zombies were waiting for us in the parking lot. It was around this time that a random player had wandered into the hospital, up to the 3rd floor, and appeared behind us. He didn't really do much at first, just kind of watching from the background and offering his services at the most opportune times. Rick's just having a conversation with him right now. To the left.
Oh, I saw it coming, Aragon. Careful. Did someone just get bit?
No.
Yeah, we got the cadence.
Back up, man.
No wonder I lagged.
Drums back up.
I had to load them all in. Everybody in chat, cheer for a random guy that joined us.
Oh, he's leading the charge with his pitchfork.
I know.
What a hero! What a hero!
Dude, Hazard's just taking a break over here. Dude.
working hard. Come on.
Oh god.
He has 10 Taylor. He's just trying to get us protected. Oh, 100%. He's just trying to lend a helping hand. You guys, you didn't even shut the door over here. Oh, there they go.
Okay, maybe don't hold the window.
boy.
If you don't hold the window, it's kind of dangerous. You just
Don't go over the chairs.
you
Yeah, you'll
dancing
fall.
now?
Uh-oh.
Are you like intimidating or something? How about you help me forward? Yeah, when we talk this out with them, can we do diplomacy?
We got guys coming from behind.
You can scam the rooms empty.
More zombies in here? Uh-oh.
You must be like, oh my god. Yeah, no, behind you. Behind you.
Oh, there's a lot.
When you join the server, you have to sign up for a whitelist. It's all it's in the general announcements on my Discord.
Where the hell are they coming from?
Never mind. Alright, go back.
Yeah, no, it's
Go
Ooh.
back down, go back down, go back down.
Yeah, they're coming.
It's clear. Well, it's not clear, but it's manageable.
Pull back.
I guess we're going up the stairs again.
The fourth floor was a massive ambush point, but with the payout we'd been hunting for. A lab room was set up here with a handful of zombification cures for us to grab. Along with the cures were several metal crates, including hundreds of boxes of shotgun shells. Oh, remember that random bystander from earlier? Well, he saved me a ton of time when I got separated from the group on the way back, crafting a sheet rope ladder to get us outside and back into the parking lot. Naturally, I let him go first, so I knew if it was safe or not. As payback for him covering me, we souped up a car in the parking lot and gave him a cure for his
Do
troubles.
we want to get the engine parts first and then go for the van?
This is all muscle memory.
On the way back to base, Rick and Aragon had wrecked their car, so Hazar and I stopped to defend them from zombies while they transferred supplies.
Oh, full. Oh, they're heavy. Oh no.
Put them in the trunk of the ambulance. I still got them on me.
Fred's has saved me.
Just realised you just stopped.
I was trying to save Rick.
Fine, I have the ball of zombie behind me.
Shall I repair the ambulance so we don't die?
How bad is it right now? Do you check?
Nope. Yeah, good there.
If it's bad, yeah, repair it a tiny bit.
Oh, it's 8%.
Okay, maybe you should give it a quick.
Do you guys want to put your
put your
stuff in the trailer and we can drive you back?
But we have to get my van though. We can get the van later. Fine, you'll stay there. We can just get out of here.
Yeah, I'll put the engine parts in the.
Alright.
Did we lose any members? Not yet, no. Alright, I'm not gonna try fighting with this arm
You're
injury.
good with the axe, aren't you?
See you guys right here?
Yeah, we're in the middle of the road.
You know,
We offered them a ride back, but they were determined to get the ambulance up and running again, so Hazar and I just headed back to base with whatever we could carry. With the raid completed and the supplies successfully delivered back to base, all we have left to do is build up some fortifications around the base and we'll be ready for the hordes. Getting started, I need sheet rope because I'm going to have to commit mass deforestation, so I set off to find some zombies near the mall. Luckily, a few were hanging around near the northeast parking lot, so I took care of them before heading back to gear up. 40 sheet rope, a couple axes, and a saw, I set out to purge the nearby tree line. This took forever since I went in with a slow worker trait, making it incredibly time consuming to do anything from cutting down trees to even picking up logs. The most time-consuming task came with sawing the logs, which took several IRL hours over the course of this build. It took early into the next morning to saw through all the logs from the first haul, but I ended up with around 430 planks to work with. I spent most of the early morning moving planks to the top floor of the fort, where I began the long process of fencing in the third floor. Multiple group members, including myself, had fallen off of here on our own accord, so I can't imagine how chaotic it would be if we threw a few thousand zombies into the mix as well. I chose to build out walkways from each of the four corners. This way, we could space out some more to prevent the group from getting backed into a corner and choosing between getting torn to shreds or breaking their legs by jumping into the abyss. The slow worker tray was a real killer for me since it extends to carpentry in general and makes building fences and flooring incredibly tedious. This continued through the early morning before I ran out of planks, forcing me into another round of tree chopping madness. Fast forward several hours later, and I'm back at base sawing more logs into planks. By that evening, I had finished sawing all my planks and began working on building again, with a focus on continuing the platform. About an hour into the second round of building, I fell off the platform, in which Aragon had to fix me up. At this point, Aragon and Rix had hopped on and were eager to help, running planks up to me while I continued building. It wasn't until the end of the second day of building that we realized we could just build a sheet rope ladder off the main platform, allowing us to run planks and logs up here in seconds instead of hobbling back and forth every couple minutes. Rick began placing piles of planks along the wall, which I took to utilizing while him and Aragon set out to chop down some more trees.
Do we have more axes?
The building continued on for several days while I took a break. Came back to the next day to see Rick and Aragon had been putting in a ton of work on the base, fencing in a massive chunk of the platform and setting planks on every several tiles for me to continue with. Oh, and I also broke my other leg when I missed the sheet rope platform by one tile and just threw myself over the edge. I began using the excess planks to build windows around the interior staircases, so that if anyone got caught inside, they could retreat up the stairs and hop through the windows, which would slow down the zombies chasing them. I completely walled in both sets of stairs in the southern end of the base. I figured having 2 escapes was enough, and if we kept all 4 staircases open along with the exterior stairs, well, we'd be swarmed within minutes. The duo's work wasn't contained to just the base either. They also chopped down dozens of trees, allowing me to bypass the grind of having to spend hours and hours on the same process. I did have the honor to photobomb one of Rick's thumbnails before a stream, so I wanted to include that in here as well. With the platforms fully built out, I began layering fencing along each walkway so that zombies would be tripped up as they closed in, effectively prolonging the inevitable. After wrapping up the platform, I switched focus to the ground floor. We have our last stand built out, but we didn't have any initial defenses to hold the zombies at bay. I wanted to build a set where we could all contribute if we had to fall back, while allowing any injured to retreat and heal up. My solution was to buy as much time as possible by layering fencing every tile, so that the zombies would have to fall over each fence, lay down, stand up, register, then hop the next fence, one at a time, repeating the process. I did a similar wall near the sheet rope, building out a rectangle fencing to slow down any advancing zombies. Closer to the rope, I built out a windowed building that would force zombies to fall through single file before being able to swing at the rope. The hope here is that while a player is climbing through the windows, the zombies will hit the fence, giving the player enough time to climb to the top of the platform before the zombies make it through the windows and destroy the rope with anyone on it, which could risk killing the player. I finished up fencing at the main gate that afternoon. The only issue with this is that we can't bring any vehicles in or out of the base from this point onwards. With some defenses now built out, I moved on to the next task. See, we're an incredibly unorganized group and have really just been dumping loot in any crates we had with no rhyme or reason to it. To address this, I built a ton of crates in the center platform and began moving all of our weapons, non-perishable food, medical supplies, and ammo into a centralized location. I tried to keep the crates organized by weapon type as well, and even crafted a ton of spears with the excess planks. As a friendly reminder to all the keyboard connoisseurs in the comments already, we decided to avoid any cheese builds for the sake of keeping this as entertaining as possible, so no crate fence builds to save us this time. With certain doom around the corner, I took time to relax in a froggy chair. We had made it to Fort Knox, looted valuable supplies and weapons, and built solid defenses. Chose to leave the courtyard fairly open to allow us to kite zombies into varying corners to keep each other safe, but the final battle would come down to pure skill. Everything we have built is intended to allow us as players to showcase our skill in combat both as a unit and what we can do once the bodies start to pile up and plans fall apart.
What could possibly go wrong?
Both legs gone! Boom! Everyone was online, the base was as fortified as it was about to get, and we were ready to die. There's just one final adventure for us to go on before our doom. My staff, like they tend to do, went above and beyond, building out a small location for us to explore prior to the finale, so we made our way south to investigate.
Guys, we can't go inside of it. It's restricted area.
I'm supposed to tell you guys this was all made using brush tools. Coming up in the location, we found a cabin-styled outpost with a man laying on the floor who had unalived himself. The group found a lore note, so they had me read it because apparently I'm the interim Morgan Freeman.
To Greg. Brother, I'm sorry, I had to set off to the ship. A group moved into the fort and have started to build up defenses, so our backup plan is gone. There are too many of them to kill on our own. So I'm going to the ship now. Hurry. We don't have much time until the mass horde in the south reaches our hideout. I've left you old six to keep you safe while you make your way to me. Try to leave without that group seeing you. Let them deal with the horde. It might buy us some more time to set sail. And then he shot himself and I took his revolver.
So sad.
Yeah, somebody else took
Happy
that.
ending.
Moving out back, we found a massive warehouse. Inside it, we found stacks and stacks of gold, which served literally no purpose other than the fact that we could brag to everyone that we had gold and they didn't.
More gold!
Everyone's
I
excited
heard
for the
that.
gold.
Broke stuff? already?
Yeah,
Moving further down was the cafeteria, along with library. Our group didn't care so much about knowledge as they did for the hundreds of hot dogs sitting in the kitchen area.
You know what I like more
You
than the
losers,
gold?
what are you losers looking for?
Hot
We've
dog.
got gold right here.
Would you guys
Hold on.
rather have pallets of gold or dinner with Jay-Z? Me personally, I'm taking the dinner with Jay-Z.
Gold can buy
That
you
knowledge
dinner
is
with
is
Jay-Z.
immeasurable.
Newbert, were you just gonna keep quiet about these guns?
Yeah, they have found the armory.
While we focused on hot dogs and gold, Newbert and Flame found the true gold mine. Inside was everything we could have dreamt of. AR-15s, shotguns, AKs, attachments for guns, and enough ammo to go to war with the state of Kentucky.
Ammo.
All right, and at this
Favorite.
point, we drop the shotgun.
Oh wow, you were in line. There's a lot of things in here.
I would have lied.
Somehow, we managed to back the van into the compound and loaded it with everything we could get our hands on.
Come on, load me up. Think I'm getting paid by the hour?
Are you being paid at all?
Yeah, and
You guys
gold.
are getting paid?
Oh, in gold, right?
I grabbed an AR for myself and a backup for if and when it decided to jam up during battle. As we began making our way back to base, a heli event triggered. We didn't think much of it at the time, but little did we know it would end up killing all of us in a matter of hours.
Smoke. Hold on. Okay.
No time.
Bye, Newbert.
I'm so sorry, Newbert.
At the entrance to the compound, we began unloading the cars. The biggest issue was that the pallets of gold were obviously very heavy, so we could only move one at a time. While this was happening, I took up watch on the 3rd floor. I ended up making it just in time to see zombies beginning to trickle into the driveway.
What
Look
else
at all
stopped
the-
to come up here?
Oh, God.
Guys, we need to bring the gold in before the zombies can get it. They're here to steal it.
They're already touching it.
Go, bros. I'm bringing the van as close as I can because it's got all the ammo in. We need to ferry this out.
Sorry, Aragon, it's too late for you.
After a few moments of this, I got so bored with Overwatch that I just said screw it and headed outside to join the rest of them in repelling the attack.
Nah, screw this.
Yeah, I agree.
You guys
Going for the gold.
get it gold.
I tried to conserve ammo early by using knives while I could, seeing as the zombies were taking their sweet time getting to us.
But the knives are where it's at for now.
Good thing I have a bulletproof back. I'll aim for the head.
What was that called? Python?
Sword.
We'll conga line our
I'm
way to
liking how
victory.
enthusiastic we are about this right now.
There's spinning on time where we can easily get surrounded.
Yep.
Fucking Megan.
I mean, there's like 3.
They're just here for the rave. Exactly.
Alright, the van is unloaded.
All right, we're losing ground. You guys need to kill them faster.
How about you start shooting?
It's just sitting back there eating hot dogs.
Well, there's
Guys
gotta
doing
be a
great.
general, right? Somebody has to control this mess.
Yeah, we just gotta, kill the commander.
A friendly reminder: part of that gate is broken, so it's almost not even worth like shutting the gate. Just hop through the fence, or just hop over the fencing.
All in all, we managed to hold the main entrance for about an hour before being forced to retreat.
Oh, back!
Damn it!
Here we go, boys.
Yeah, there's no point in holding that gate. Let's get back.
Yeah, get back behind this one.
Close the door.
And now, spirits were still high since we were confident in the fencing to slow them down while we rearmed and prepared for the next line of defense. Similar to the hospital raid back in episode 2, the men carrying shotguns staggered their shots to maximize damage output. Like, just listen to this. With the shotgun shogun while holding, say that 5 times fast, I headed up to the wall to assess the damage. In all honesty, we were holding up pretty well for a bunch of misfits. I mean, it also helped the zombies were stuck pathing directly into the walls of the fort, but hey, we'll take every ounce of cheese we can get here.
They should be able to come from.
We'll just slowly work through the ones up here.
Shortly after that, I was called back downstairs to the entrance, where zombies were beginning to destroy the fencing. Around this time, we encountered some of the strangest desync the game has ever thrown at us. Don't worry, it gets so much worse later on, for those wondering just how unstable Zomboid multiplayer can become. But anyway, we ran into this issue where these other members in the group didn't appear to be shooting, leading me to believe they were just watching me take on this massive horde pouring through the gates.
The gun audio is all desynced, so like it doesn't make any sounds when you guys are shooting, so it sounds like I'm the only one shooting on my end, and you guys are all just like watching.
In reality, they were in fact shooting. The game just wasn't displaying it on my end. This fixed itself in time and led to a beautiful symphony of gunshots and explosions later on. But before that, something very important happened. See, Rix tried to buy the group some time with a pipe bomb after zombies had broken through the fencing.
Yeah. I have to reload all
Stand back.
mags.
Oh, that hurt.
Oh god, you killed me.
What? Where were you?
I was nearby enough. I'm not dead yet, but that is not gonna end well for
Did you
me.
throw a pipe bomb?
He did.
Do you need a doctor?
Go get in there.
A solid idea in theory, but this ended up shredding Little Flame in the process, almost killing him and forcing Dr. Coco to drop what he was doing and tend to Flame, effectively taking a fourth of our group out of the fight entirely. It was around this time where the zombie desync began to quite literally break the game. Zombies began teleporting all over the place, going from storming through the center wall to teleporting back to the main entrance, providing me the opportunity to fire rounds into the masses.
The goal?
Yeah. We just like
Return the slab.
We will not give them the gold. Screw that.
how about a
We need to move the gold back. I'm gonna move it upstairs.
So many of
Yeah,
them
somebody
wanna
bring the
stop
gold
now.
upstairs.
Come me.
Defend the gold.
Remember how all the gun audio stopped a while back? Well, it fixed itself all at once.
There we go.
As if the audio desync and teleporting zombies wasn't enough. Unfortunately, after the zombies broke in, the horde claimed its first victim.
Sea shanty in the background.
Did we get upstairs?
Probably the good
We
idea.
need a choke. Come on, start.
So I want you to pay attention to the time in the top right corner. See, for everyone else, the sun is about to set, but for me, this continued for most of the finale, but ends up correcting itself at the end, at least partially. With the ground floor completely overrun, most of us had fallen back to the center platform for a brief moment of peace. While checking the exterior, I noticed something that practically sealed our fate. At least for me, the game had limited its rendering to only the current cell, effectively trapping me in Fort Knox.
We'll hold the line up here.
The zombies are all confused now what to do with their lives.
You know, that's convenient. I need time to relax a bit.
The big issue now is that we forgot all our 5.56 ammo down by the fencing, leaving me to undertake a suicide mission to retrieve it, along with some of the other gear I could get my hands on. With the zombies bugging out trying to path their way to the players above them, it made the ground floor easier than it looked. Sure, there were hundreds of zombies just loitering around, but they weren't all that interested in me, at least at first. The only real threat at the moment was the teleporting zombies, which would sometimes appear practically right on top of me, forcing me to always be on my guard. My original plan was to just push the stairs the interior, but that was quickly abandoned when I saw just how many zombies were standing around next to them, forcing me back outside.
It's time for some expert kiting.
The northern section of the courtyard by the garden was completely cleared, so I just kept biding my time until I found an opening to squeeze through. While kiting, the group on the western side of the wall began hatching plans to try and rescue me. These included clearing out the stairs, both interior and exterior, as well as placing sheet rope ladders on the perimeter.
At this point.
If you go west, we're trying to clear the west there.
Oh!
Yeah, wait, which side are you on?
Interior, exterior, because I'm exterior still.
Exterior.
Okay.
Never
There's
mind,
too
there's
many
no
of them.
why.
Yeah.
There's no why. And there's
Let's
fucking
just stay
crossbow
down.
there.
The ammo was a
Sheet
bad
Sheet
idea.
rope. Can we hang out a sheet rope for Fred?
The big issue with the sheet rope ladders is that my game is so desynced that it's 5:30 p.m. on my end, and almost 11 p.m. for the others, which resulted in me being unable to see any of the rope ladders that they placed for me, along with players going invisible for me, such as Aragon, who had fallen downstairs and was on the ground floor alongside me, eventually leading to the second casualty of the group.
Years of COD zombies. I think someone died.
I'm adding another one, so I think this is where the bus was, right? There were 2 ropes next to where the bus was.
They're not in for me yet. I still see the fences on my side.
3 for you.
Yeah, and then they're breaking through the north now from my end, like that kill box. So it is getting messier, but we're still moving. Hopefully.
Time to eat a burger, boys. Where are you going?
I'm just looking. I'm just getting an idea of the situation down there.
There we go.
How about the situation up here?
Unfortunately, Aragon was just the tip of the iceberg. Within minutes, Rix and Comp, while desperately trying to reach vehicles near the entrance, were swarmed and fell to the undead.
We're gonna be okay.
Okay,
Oh,
here we
there's
go.
no-
We're not gonna be okay. It's the end of me.
No, no, not come.
During this time, Hazard had his final stand along me in the courtyard. I'm not sure how he ended up there, but he went out on his own terms, akin to Marcus from the original John Wick.
As long as none of them fall from above, right here.
Come on, start.
He's trying to get to his car.
As if that wasn't enough, Little Flame passed shortly after while attempting to escape.
Not at this point.
Coco escaped, so it's literally I'm the only one left in the
walking
fort.
around. I'm gonna check the north side outside right now. There's a lot of them on the windows.
Rounds of 357 and like 3 knives left.
If we could make it out over here.
And just like that, we were down to Coco, Ghost, and myself. With all of us separated, it became a cat and mouse game of how long can I keep kiting until I slip up. Around this time, Coco had managed to build a rope ladder off the northern wall and escape to the outside of Fort Knox. For some reason, instead of fleeing, he chose to stay back and try to help me and Ghost, who were still trapped inside the walls. With the big predicament being that, unfortunately, with only 2 of us left for the zombies to aggro, it only upscaled the difficulty for me and Ghost. My goal was to get back up to the 3rd floor where I could find Coco's rope ladder and get to the outside of the fort, but we found out pretty quickly that no matter where I tried to go, the zombies were already flooding it. Coco made a call out about the entrance of the fort being relatively clear, so I began making my way over there to see if I could use that as a way out.
Oh, that's a wall. Oh, for some reason I thought we were way back over here. Okay, there we go.
This is where all the close calls start to pile up. Call it sheer luck, but I'll take every minute of it.
Clear.
Yeah, I'm outside on the east side with a big ball of zombies on me.
Oh,
Just-
all the
just
hats
clearing
are
them out
right
slowly.
there. All the hats are right there.
I hate when big zombie balls get all over me.
If you can manage to get outside, we could, have a grand escape from this beautiful place. Maybe retake it another day.
Shoot the gas tanker, go out Rick Grimes
I'm
style.
a stubborn son of a bitch. Oh shit, okay. I don't know, you might talk me into it.
Uh-oh, this might be my
I
end
had,
here.
I had a near-death experience maybe just like 3 seconds ago.
Oh yeah.
There's no way. There's no way.
What's
There's no
to
way.
stop me from just jumping?
There's no
You're gonna
off
break your leg,
Okay.
and that's not the best. Outside of the entrance is like
they're not even aggroing.
Outside the
Look
entrance
at-
is completely clear.
They're not even aggroing. Oh, bad idea. Bad idea. Bad idea.
I mean, you know, a broken leg.
Eventually, the time had corrected itself, and by that I mean I was still at about 12 hours behind the rest of the players, but at least I wasn't stuck in a loop anymore. Oh, and I also found another cowboy hat, since mine had been knocked off when I tripped a while back.
You know.
All right, we have a white cowboy hat. Oh wait, oh no, oh it's a garbage bag. Never mind. We have a white cowboy hat now, so it's not. You know, it only gives like +2 damage instead of +10, but it'll do.
Now the goal was to group up as many zombies as possible to pull them away from the main entrance that I could attempt to link up with Coco and Ghost. This led to the jankiest moment I've ever experienced in Zomboid. I'm really not sure how this happened. I definitely should have died there, but going back through the footage, I noticed something. I'm the only one in the fort at this point, but when I go down, instead of a zombie bite triggering, the game was so broken that it spawned in a literal Molotov. I have absolutely no idea how this happens, and I haven't been able to recreate it since, but we caught it live on stream as well. What a quality multiplayer experience. Anyway, after grouping up the stragglers and moving them to the northern end of the courtyard, I was able to run back and scoop up a pipe bomb to try out. Which didn't really do all that much, but it brought me enough time to do one more loop around and walk out the front door. Unfortunately for me, the map still wasn't loading any cells outside of Fort Knox, which means there was only one way out for me. Ghost had broken his leg from jumping off the 3rd floor, making him a liability in anything other than shooting a gun, and Coco was entirely out of ammo, having to rely on whatever melee weapons he could get his hands on. While making what felt like our final stand, I killed Newbert's zombified corpse, looting his zombification cure off his body. I could have taken it, and lived to continue fighting, but there wasn't really a point. Even if I took it, I wouldn't be able to escape. I was forever confined to the cell containing Fort Knox. It became obvious in that moment what needed to be done. With one last hurrah, I sprinted back into the fort, pulling in any zombies behind me. I just needed to buy enough time for Coco and Ghost to find a vehicle and flee. At this point, I turned my focus to any players still alive on the server.
Listen. There's so much ammo up here. There's food, there's medical supplies. There's knives, there's hot dogs, there's axes, there's weapons, there's booze. Not as many, there's SKSs. Looks like a lot of the ammo was taken. Shotgun shells. There's a zombie cure. It's gonna be in the center crate. Thank you all. It's been great.
Thank you all so much for watching. This series was recorded over the course of about 5 days with a group of 8 YouTubers, a moderator, and several of my admins facilitating everything from builds to events to running the finale. This was some of the most fun I've had in Project Zomboid in years, and I'm forever grateful to this group, who were all willing to work with me on such a large project on such short notice. A very special thank you to the random player who was waiting to loot our base after we died while deciding to hot mic someone's stream audio through VoIP so that you could all get a nice ad during my death scene. I appreciate you all, and as always, thanks for stopping by.